black people are voting Democrat at a rate of 90%. Do you think it's possibly time that we rethink this?
Yes, it's actually kind of contradictory, you know?
Yeah.
It's really contradictory.
When you have money, you want to become a Republican because you feel like other people should be working just as hard as you to get where you at. But when you're a Democrat, you feel like, well, everything should just be given to me. And that's not true. You should be working for stuff.
Joining me now is Brandon Strock. He is the founder of the Walkaway movement. Brandon, thank you so much for being here with me. Brandon, I watched some of your videos. You went into Harlem, this is where you live in New York, and you started talking to people. Now, we know that this area is full of a lot of people who mostly vote Democrat. So what were people saying to you?
Well, so I went into Harlem to interview really people of color, which, you know, Harlem is about like 65, I think, percent black. I think it's about 14% Hispanic. And I wanted to have a conversation specifically with these communities because it kind of ties into this movie that we're doing in Harlem. So, yes, I was asking them what they thought about the fact that traditionally about 90% of black Americans are voting Democrat. And yet there are these enormous statistics that show that Democrat policies are really decimating the black community. The majority of people that I spoke with agreed with me, and they thought that it was time for a change. And none of them were resistant to having this conversation or being open and willing to think through, you know, maybe it's time that we think differently here about how we're voting.
Yeah, I watched the interviews, and these people actually seemed pretty open-minded. And what I got from it was that they were pretty disappointed with the people that they have been voting for, the Democratic Party just in general, because they realize that their communities aren't benefiting from the people that they're electing.
Right, absolutely. And it's, you know, there are so many ways in which we see this. You know, I think it's something about around 40% of people on government assistance are black Americans.
40% of government assistance cases are black Americans.
Yes.
Do you think that the Democratic Party is serving black Americans well?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
There's something like around 35% of black children are living in poverty. Actually, I think it's 38%. There are more black children aborted in New York City than born alive. Just try to comprehend that for a moment. You know, and these are all Democrat Party policies. So when we're having these conversations, some of these people already knew these things, and some of them found them pretty mind-blowing. But, you know, I said, listen, I think that your community deserves better. I think all of us as Americans together deserve better. Let's have this conversation. And they're all very open and willing to do that. So everyone I talked to said that they were happy to come to our event that we're having on Wednesday, March 27th, to do this sort of town hall style discussion at the Magic Johnson AMC Theater in Harlem to talk about this.
And how do people react to you when you say that, hey, you know what, I used to be a Democrat and I was also afraid of the Republican Party and I wasn't a Trump supporter. And so I feel like, you know, you do have a connection to people who are voting the same way every single year, not seeing results. And so did they take kindly to it, or do they think that you're kind of, you know, gone off the deep end?
Well, no, I think they took kindly to it, but I think that it caught a lot of people by surprise, as it tends to do. But I don't think that that's a bad thing, that it catches them by surprise, because at this point, there are two realities taking place in America. One of them isn't reality at all, but there is the actual reality, which is that, you know, we have Trump supporters, people who are supporting this president who are actually good people, good-hearted people, and really want what's best, I think, for all Americans. And then we have the concurrent narrative, which is that all these people are racists and bigots and terrible people and homophobes, and that they're supporting white supremacy. And so when you have someone like myself, who is a gay man, saying, I would not be doing this if I thought that my community was in danger, and I wouldn't be doing this if I thought that people of color were in danger or any other communities. I am a Trump supporter because I actually believe that supporting this president and this administration is in the best interest of all Americans, regardless of race, sexual orientation, or gender, etc. And so I think a lot of people are caught by surprise by that. But when you start having this conversation and they get to see that, you know, obviously I'm a nice person. I think I'm a very approachable person. they seem open and willing to have this discussion. And that's really what it's about, just opening this door and let's have this conversation.
And I watched a second video. You went to Hell's Kitchen neighborhood in New York City. If you could tell people that are watching this video what Hell's Kitchen is, if they haven't been to that area in New York. And then tell me about some of the reactions you got there.
Well, for the LGBT video, what we ended up doing was going all over the place. It was on St. Patrick's Day, which was like, I don't know, I thought it was going to be crazy everywhere, but apparently everyone was hungover from the night before. So we went to Hell's Kitchen, which is traditionally lots of gay bars, you know, pretty heavily LGBT populated neighborhood. And there was not a lot of activity on the street. So we ended up going down to the West Village, formerly known as Greenwich Village, which also has a pretty high LGBT population. And that's where we ended up doing the majority of the interviews. And so we just talked to a lot of people in the gay community to have the exact same conversation. You know, LGBT people are voting Democrat at a rate of more than 80%. And, you know, so I wanted to ask why. You know, why do you think that this is? And we got, you know, a variety of answers. A lot of them I expected. And then I told all of them, you know, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm used to be a Democrat. Now I'm a Republican. And they found it interesting, a little bit surprising. You know, we had a little discussion as to why, but I invited them to our event, which is, on the 28th of March, Thursday, the LGBT town hall, which is the same thing. We're going to have this conversation with the gay community. And they were very open and willing to do that, which was great.
As much as I think there's problems in both parties and in every party, I think that the Democratic Party, at least right now, aligns with my views and my beliefs, you know, about society, economics, and social justice issues and stuff like that.
And you typically vote Democrat?
Yeah.
Can you tell us why?
Just because I believe in what Democrats support as far as, like, you know, minority rights, equality, giving women their own voice for their own body.
So I watched some of the videos and I was listening to their responses to you. And basically they vote Democrat because they feel like Democrats care about their needs, with gay marriage, some of the other things that they feel like Republicans don't support. So what is your argument? Why should people in the LGBT community support Republicans? What are Republicans doing? And are Republicans doing enough to get their message out that, hey, we are actually good for the LGBT community, and you should give us your vote?
Well, the reason why I think that LGBT people should be considering looking at the Republican Party instead of the Democratic Party is because, first and foremost, we need to shatter the narrative that they're getting relentlessly from the liberal media, that they're still hated by people on the right, that they're still pariahs in society, that they're hated and unwanted. Because the truth is, I don't think in 2019 we any longer live in a world in which the gay community is oppressed. And so it doesn't mean it wasn't true in the past. It means I don't think it's true in the present. So that means we have a choice now. We have a choice. You can vote Democrat, you can vote Republican, or, you know, perhaps anywhere in the spectrum in between. But that's where we have to start really becoming full members of society and doing shopping the market a little bit and saying which party really has our best interests at heart, which is to say, which is going to, make you more money, which is going to ensure your safety and security more as an American. Who cares more about having safe, secure borders and keeping the American people safe and making sure your taxes are lower and making sure you're getting bigger paychecks and making sure that the government is less involved in your life? These are the things that LGBT people should be worrying about now, because we have the right to get married. Like, that's over now. We have equality in this country, which is what we were fighting for. Now that we have equality, let's participate in the democratic process and really look and say which party is going to serve us better as individuals. And the other conversation that I want to have with them is which party is using fear and division to manipulate our behavior. And that's something we really need to look at, because the Republican Party isn't using their media all the time to tell us that, hate crimes are on the rise and that people hate us and that our lives are in danger. There's only one party that's doing that right now, and that's not the Republican Party.
We live in a really nightmare. We live in a really nightmare.